Hey, morning guys. Max is back here again, and today I'm going to show you some stuff I've found out about distributors. Like I often say, I don't profess to be an expert at anything, but trial and error and a bit of studying, I seem to have grasped the basics of quite a lot of things. Anyway, this is my view on distributors and how to set them up. It's always been a little bit of a holy grail to me, but now I seem to have dialed them in, and I'll share what I've learnt with you. Okay, here we go. So I've talked about distributors before, and I've been setting up my 55 Chevy, and with experience and trial and error, and the studying I've done on distributors, you're always better off running a vacuum advanced distributor on an engine, even on a race engine. If it's set up right, it'll run cooler, your plugs won't foul up, it'll have a crisper response. It just runs better. I think a lot of the problems with information that's out there, everybody says, oh yeah, you need to run a mechanical advance only distributor, you know, in a high performance engine, and this, that, and the next thing. But that really doesn't seem to be the case from everything I've read from professional engine builders and people who know how distributors work. Even if you look at the facts, just the common sense tells you the vacuum advance has to be a lot superior than no vacuum advance. Anyway, I've got a Mallory racing distributor in there right now, and you know, it runs pretty good, but the problem is I don't get the advance on idle that I want, which means that with the big cam and stuff, the plugs can load up a bit on idle, and my engine runs hotter in traffic and under cruise. So anyway, here's the basics on how to set up a distributor, and it really isn't that difficult. Now, this particular MSD distributor for big block Chevy is really easy to do, and I'm just going to give you a brief outline. Now, I mean, presumably most people know how to take the cap off of the two screws there, and then you've got your plate underneath here with your counterweights on it. Well, you take off this little nut here, and you can change this bushing, and that makes it so that you change how wide the span is on your mechanical advance. Now, on a performance engine, you generally want to put a narrow band so that you can do a high advance, you know, high initial advance, and you limit the mechanical advance. That way, you know, I can set it at, say, 18 degrees, which my cam will be a lot happier with, and the engine will idle a lot better. And then I'm only going to have 18 degrees come full in. I put the black bushing in here, that's the largest one, which really limits it to 18 degrees mechanical advance, whereas normally they're like 28 or something. So then you can change the springs. Now, generally, a factory standard distributor, the advance will maybe start coming in at about, I think, 1800, and then is all in by 3500 to 4000 RPM, which is far too late in a high performance application. So by changing the springs, you can make that come in a lot quicker. And there's usually, you can look on the internet, and there's certain, you know, parameters. It will tell you 2 light springs will do this, 2 heavy springs will do this, 1 light spring, 1 heavy string, etc. So I've actually set this one to start coming in, the advanced mechanical advance, start coming in at about 1200 RPM and be all in by 22. So that should work quite well for my engine. I had the 2 lightest springs on before when I didn't really know what I was doing, and I hadn't changed the width of the spread of the mechanical advance. So what was happening was my mechanical advance was starting to come in at about 700 or 800 RPM, and that was causing my already lumpy idle to fluctuate even more. And I hadn't restricted the amount of mechanical timing I had. So it just totally screwed it up. And I thought, man, I can't deal with this, and I put my mechanical one back in. And then I thought about it a little bit more, studied it a little bit more, and I understood exactly what was going on and what was going wrong. So now I've set it out, like I said, I've narrowed the duration of the mechanical advance to 18. Allows me to do a much more advanced initial timing. And then I've looked, and my vacuum advance starts to come in at about 7 inches of vacuum. So my car idles at about 8 to 900 RPM. And that gives me about 5 inches, so that gives me about 5 degrees advance. So technically on idle, I could have 23 degrees of advance, and that'll allow my engine to run much happier, should be much smoother, and it should actually run a lot cooler as well. Anyway, one more thing that very few people cover is often when you put the distributor in the engine, sometimes it seems like it's bottomed out, and you think, it must be okay, I mean, that's how they're made. Well, you got to remember, all heads are different, all manifolds are different, and that can raise or lower the height of a distributor slightly. So you can actually buy shims to stick underneath here, and that can allow you to set it up right. Now there's several ways to know if it's bottoming out. One is you can put the distributor in there, and you know, there should be, you should have this little bit of play in the top of the distributor still once it's seated. If it doesn't, it means it's bottoming out, which is not good. Or if it's been running in the car, you can look at your gears and you can see wear marks on the gears. Let me see if I can see them here. I can actually tell this was sitting high. See how the wear marks are all at the top of the gear here. So this was bottoming out, which probably doesn't help things at all either. So fortunately on this style of distributor, it's got this adjustable collar. So you can actually move it up and down. So I've actually moved it down about, I don't know, 0.30 of an inch. And that will stop it bottoming out. When I put it in, I'll make sure I've got a little bit of play in there. And I use a regular gasket, and it should be really good. From what I've read, you can't just mount up more gaskets because they compress, and then that screws things up too. So you have to actually use shims and one gasket, and that should help things out. Anyway, hopefully this video will enlighten people a little bit of how easy it is to actually set some of these distributors up. This particular distributor is quite a cheap one. I was going to go with an expensive one, but it had pretty good reviews, and I think they're all basically the same, made in the same place. So I think this was like $100 or something, and I'm going to put it in, and hopefully my car runs even better than it already does. Hey guys, I've recurbed the distributor and done the timing, readjusted the carburetor, connected the vacuum, and my car's running better than it's ever run before. Idle's much smoother. I've picked up 5 inches of vacuum on my vacuum gauge. I mean, that was floating around 7 or 8 before. Now I'm sitting at about 12, and I can already tell my engine's running a lot cooler. It's been sitting here idling for about 20 minutes, and it's just where the thermostat opens at 160. So it looks like I might have solved my problems. Perfect. Hey guys, how are you doing today? Doing a little bit of work on my Barracuda today. The vacuum advance doesn't work on the distributor. In fact, it's the third distributor I've put in there, and I sent the first one back, ordered a second one,
Shortly after driving it, the vacuum advance went. So I ordered another one, and I didn't send that one back. And so I put in a new one, and so this is the third one. Anyway, all the vacuum advances went. So I just ordered just the vacuum advance on this one, and I just replaced it. So let me show you how I did that. Right, so this is the distributor out of my Barracuda. For some reason, the vacuum advances keep going in it the first time I drive it. So I'm guessing that they must have been old stock or something, because the only thing that's in the vacuum advance is a diaphragm with a spring on it. And the only way for it to break is if the diaphragm is brittle and gets a crack in it. There's no way the vacuum of the engine can break the diaphragm. So I had 3 faulty ones in a row. So I just ordered this vacuum advance from Summit for a whopping $47. And I've just installed it. Very easy to install. This ring here, you know, you pull off the little rotor cap, that just pops off, and then you lever this up with some screwdrivers, it just comes out, and you can just ease up that plate a little bit, wiggle, after taking these screws out, wiggle the vacuum assembly out, which was that one. I wiggled the new one in, and I'm just about to install it in the car. And if some of you aren't familiar with how to change a distributor and not have to do all your timing, well, you should always recheck your timing, but to basically get it pretty damn close, you mark the base of the distributor, which you can see a little black mark down there on the manifold and the distributor, so I can see where to put it back in. Looking directly down on it, it lines up. And then I've marked this rotor with this mark here, so it's a little bit off, but I know when I stick it in that that's got to be basically pointing at that, and the distributor's got to be in that position. And if all goes according to plan, which it will start straight up, and then I can fine-tune my timing with my timing light. Actually, so you can see, I think you can see, let me see where the marks are there. I marked it. Yeah, so you can see the black mark down there, the line. So I'm just going to, when I take this distributor out, I'm going to put it next to the other one and mark it in exactly the same place and slot it in. All right. Got to do some exhaust hangers on my 55 Chevy tonight. I lowered my fuel pump and noticed my exhaust hanger was broken. So I bought some of these, which I think are generally the best for being very strong. Anyway, I'll speak to you guys soon. Hope you're all doing good. Speak to you later.